They call me a criminal. They say I deserve to rot in this prison cell. But the truth? My only crime was protecting a name that never protected me. My name is Jason Miller. I'm 36 years old. And as I sit here in this dark, cold cell, I keep asking myself one question. How far should loyalty go? People on the outside think loyalty is a beautiful thing, something that proves your heart is good, your character strong. But in here, loyalty is poison. And mine destroyed my entire life. I wasn't born a criminal. I wasn't born to wear these chains. I was just a man, someone who believed in family, in friendship, in standing by people when the world turned its back on them. And yet, it was that same belief that buried me alive. I grew up in a small town. My father died when I was 14, and my mother worked 2 jobs to keep food on the table. Life was never easy, but we survived. And in the middle of all that hardship, there was one family that stood taller than the rest. Wealthy, powerful, respected. Their name carried weight everywhere. At schools, at businesses, even in the courtroom. And for some reason, they noticed me. Maybe it was because I was loyal, hardworking, the type of guy who never asked questions. At first, it felt like a blessing. I wasn't just Jason Miller anymore. I was Jason, friend of the Harringtons. That name opened doors I never thought I'd step through. Parties, connections, opportunities. And slowly, without realizing it, I started to believe that protecting their name was protecting my future. It started small. Covering up mistakes. A fight at a bar. Jason, take care of it. A broken law. Jason, no one needs to know. Each time, I told myself it was nothing. Just a favor. Just loyalty. Because when someone powerful gives you a place at their table, you don't want to lose your seat. But loyalty is never free. The more I gave, the more they took. And I didn't see it then, but every time I protected their name, I was digging my own grave. I remember one night, late, past midnight. I was driving home after covering up another one of their messes. Rain was pouring down, my hands gripping the steering wheel so tight they shook. I pulled over, stared at myself in the rearview mirror, and whispered, "Jason, what are you doing? Who are you becoming?" But then I thought of everything they'd given me, the respect, the connections, the sense of belonging. And I convinced myself, it's worth it. They'll protect me the way I protect them. I couldn't have been more wrong. It was a Friday night when everything shattered. The Harringtons hosted a party. Drinks, music, people laughing like tomorrow didn't exist. I was there, as always, keeping watch, making sure nothing ever stained their name. But then, something happened. Something terrible. I can't go into all the details yet, not here, not now, but I'll tell you this, someone's life ended that night. And when the police started asking questions, when the walls began closing in, the Harringtons made their move. They didn't run. They didn't hide. They didn't confess. They looked at me. "Jason, you'll handle this. You've always been loyal. We'll protect you, our lawyers, our money, our influence. Just say it was you. Take the fall, and we'll make sure you're safe." I can still hear those words echoing in my head. My heart pounded so hard I thought it would explode. My mouth went dry. I wanted to scream, to tell them no, to walk away. But then I thought of everything I'd done already. All the times I'd kept their secrets. All the lies I'd told to keep their name clean. If I walked away now, What would it all mean? So I nodded. I signed my own death sentence that night. The next morning, I was in handcuffs. The Harringtons? Safe at home. And as I sat in the back of that police car, the blue lights flashing against my face, I told myself one thing: they'll protect me. They promised. But I was a fool. Because in the courtroom, when it mattered most, they didn't defend me. They destroyed me. They handed me over like I was nothing but a pawn on their chessboard. And the judge's gavel fell like thunder: life in prison. My life was over. And the name I destroyed myself for? It never lifted a finger to save me. The sound of the gavel still echoes in my ears. Life in prison. Those 3 words didn't just strip away my freedom. They ripped out my soul. I remember being led out of the courtroom in chains. The crowd behind me whispered. Some pitied me, others condemned me. But the faces I searched for the most? The Harringtons. The family I'd destroyed myself for. They weren't there. Not a single one of them. That was the moment I realized I hadn't just lost my freedom. I had lost my worth in their eyes. Walking into prison for the first time feels like walking into hell. The air is heavier, the walls close in on you, and the sound of metal gates slamming shut. It feels like the world sealing you inside a coffin. The guards shoved me through the intake process. Strip search. Fingerprints. An orange jumpsuit that smelled like sweat and regret. And then came the cell block. The noise hit me first. Shouting, banging, laughter that wasn't laughter at all, but madness. Faces stared through bars, some filled with curiosity, others with hunger. And me. I was the fresh meat. My cell was a narrow box. Concrete walls, a steel toilet in the corner, and a thin mattress that felt like punishment itself. The stench of mold mixed with rust and despair. I sat on that bed, staring at the cracks on the ceiling, and thought, this is it. This is my eternity. Prison life is a cycle of misery. Wake up to the clang of metal. Line up for watery oatmeal. March like cattle through corridors that reek of fear. Every day was a test. Who could you trust? Who wanted to break you? Who wanted to use you? Violence wasn't a possibility. It was a certainty. I saw fights break out over a piece of bread, a cigarette, even a glance that lasted too long. Blood became as common as sweat. And I knew, if I wanted to survive, I had to adapt. But adapting didn't mean becoming violent. For me, it meant becoming invisible. Keep your head down, your mouth shut, and pray the chaos doesn't find you. Still, no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't escape the whispers. That's Jason Miller. Took the fall for the Harringtons. Man gave up his life for a family that don't even visit. Some laughed at me. Others admired me. But to me, every whisper was a knife. Because each one reminded me of the truth. I was loyal to a name that never protected me. In prison, the smallest things mean the most. A letter. A visit. Even a phone call. 4 weeks, I waited. I told myself the Harringtons would come through. That they'd send their lawyers, or at least write to me. That maybe, just maybe, they'd thank me for saving them. But the mailbox stayed empty. Every time the guard called out names during mail distribution, my heart raced. And every time my name wasn't called, a little more of me died. The silence from them was louder than the prison noise. It told me exactly what I was: disposable. Months passed, and prison began to change me. Not just my body, my mind. The weight of betrayal was heavier than the chains around my wrists. One night, while sitting in the yard under the dim prison lights, an older inmate approached me. Scars across his face, eyes sharp like broken glass. His name was Reynolds. He sat beside me, lit a cigarette, and said, "Loyalty. That's what put you here, ain't it?" I didn't answer. But he smirked like he already knew. "Let me tell you something, Miller. In here, loyalty is death. Out there, it's slavery. You protected a name that won't even spit on your grave. You keep living like that, and you'll die forgotten." I looked at him, my jaw clenched. He wasn't wrong. But then he leaned closer, his voice dropping to a whisper. "You want to survive? You want to live with more than just regret? Stick with me. I can show you how to stop being a pawn." His words hung in the air like poison. And I knew, if I said yes, I'd be stepping into a new kind of darkness. That night, lying on my thin mattress, I couldn't sleep. Reynolds' words replayed in my mind. He was offering me something the Harringtons never gave me: protection, maybe even a sense of purpose. But at what cost? I stared at the ceiling and whispered to myself, "Jason, who are you now? The man who sacrificed himself for loyalty, or the man who finally says no?" But prison doesn't give you time to figure yourself out. It forces choices on you, and every choice cuts deeper than the last. A week later, I got my first real test. In the cafeteria, a tray slammed into my chest. Food splattered across the floor. I looked up to see a group of inmates staring at me, grinning. "Word is, Miller's the Harrington's dog," one of them sneered. "Let's see if the dog bites." The room went silent. All eyes were on me. I could feel my fists clenching, my heart pounding. If I fought, I'd be dragged into a war I might not survive. If I didn't, I'd be branded weak, easy prey. And just as I was about to make my choice, Reynolds stepped in. He shoved the inmate back and said, "This one's with me." The tension broke, but the message was clear. I wasn't invisible anymore. That night, I sat in my cell shaking. Reynolds had saved me. But in prison, nothing is free. I knew what was coming. He'd want something in return. Something dangerous. And as I lay awake, I realized the bitter truth. I'd traded one master for another. The Harringtons outside had destroyed my life with their lies. And now, inside, I was about to enter a new game of survival. The difference? This time, there would be no loyalty. Only survival. Do you know what it feels like to give your entire life for someone else, only to realize they never even thought of you? I do. My name is Jason Miller. And I'm serving a life sentence because I protected a name that never protected me. And if you followed my story till now, you already know, I took the fall for the Harringtons. Their crimes became my punishment. Their lies became my truth. And my loyalty became my prison. But inside these walls, something changed. Because survival doesn't allow blind loyalty. It forces you to confront who you are when the people you trusted abandon you. After Reynolds pulled me out of that cafeteria fight, things shifted. Suddenly, I wasn't invisible anymore. When I walked the yard, people moved. When I sat at the table, no one tried to shove me off. I was protected. But protection in prison comes at a cost. Reynolds was smart. dangerously smart. He ran things in here like a king without a crown. Drugs, contraband, deals with guards. And now, by saving me, he'd drafted me into his kingdom. One night, he came to me, sat on the edge of my bunk, and said, "You've got potential, Miller. You ain't like the others. You've still got some humanity left. That's rare here. But humanity doesn't keep you alive. Power does. And I'm offering you some." I knew what he meant. He wanted me in his circle. Wanted me to run jobs, smuggle, intimidate. But part of me still clung to the old Jason, the Jason who believed in loyalty, who believed sacrifices mattered. So I told him, I didn't come here to become like them. Reynolds just laughed, a deep, bitter laugh. "Miller, you already are like them. You just don't see it yet." Months passed. The Harringtons remained silent. No visits. No letters. Nothing. And then, one day, during mail call, my name was called. My heart leapt. Finally. Maybe it was a letter from them. Maybe hope. But when I opened it, it wasn't from the Harringtons. It was a newspaper clipping, sent anonymously. The headline froze me. "Harrington family expands business empire. Celebrates at gala." And the photo. All of them. Dressed in their finest. Laughing. Toasting champagne. Living their lives like I'd never existed. No mention of me. No gratitude. Just wealth, smiles, and the comfort of knowing their dirty secrets were buried with me. I stared at that picture for hours. My hands shook. My chest burned. And for the first time, I whispered words I never thought I'd say. I wasted my life for them. After that, something inside me cracked. I started questioning everything. Why did I give up my freedom for people who erased me from their story? Why did I trade my soul for loyalty that was never returned? And most of all, how much longer could I survive in here pretending I still had anything left to live for? Reynolds saw it too. He leaned into my weakness, whispering, "You feel it now, don't you? The chains you chose for yourself. But chains can be broken. You've got rage, Miller. You've got fire. Use it. Or let it eat you alive." His words haunted me. Because deep down, I knew, my rage was reaching a point of no return. It happened on a night that smelled of rain and blood. Tension in the prison had been building for weeks. Different groups clashing. Guards cracking down harder. The atmosphere was a storm waiting to break. And then, it did. A fight broke out in the yard. Shouts, fists, weapons improvised from scraps of metal. The air filled with chaos. Guards swarmed, alarms blared, but the violence only grew. I found myself in the middle of it. Fists flying, bodies slamming into concrete. Someone lunged at me with a shank. Instinct took over. I fought back, my fists fueled by every betrayal, every sleepless night, every letter that never came. And in that moment, I realized I wasn't fighting to survive anymore. I was fighting because the rage inside me had nowhere else to go. By the time the guards regained control, blood stained the ground. My knuckles were raw. And my heart was hollow. Because the truth hit me like a knife. I wasn't Jason Miller anymore. I wasn't even a man who once believed in loyalty. I was just another ghost in these walls, chained not by steel, but by betrayal. That night, alone in solitary confinement, I stared at the wall until my vision blurred. I thought about the Harringtons, raising glasses of champagne while I rotted in chains. I thought about Reynolds, trying to mold me into something darker. And I thought about myself, the man who chose to protect a name that never once chose to protect me. And I asked myself the question I want you to ask too. How far would you go for loyalty? And when does loyalty become the weapon that destroys you? So here I am, Jason Miller. A man serving life, not just behind bars, but inside the prison of my own choices. And now I'll ask you, if you were in my shoes, would you have done the same? Would you sacrifice your freedom for family, even if that family abandoned you? Or would you walk away, even if it meant betraying the ones you love? Tell me. I want to know. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Because maybe if someone hears my story, they'll learn the lesson I didn't. Loyalty is only sacred if it's returned.